the Marvel folks said, "Oh no, this can't be the way it is," and we had to write the scenes that we were doing that day. Just that morning, we'd go into one of our trailers and call writer friends and say, "Here's what happens. He goes here. You got any ideas?" That kind of thing. I remember being so frustrated as an actor. I'd like to be prepared, know my line, and I finally made this little adjustment that made all the difference.
What was it?
It was just, "Jeff, you're talking about anxiety." Say, "Jeff, relax. You're making a $200 million student film."
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
I'm Josh Horowitz, and today on Happy, Sad, Confused, what can I say? This guy needs no introduction. He's back on the podcast, and this time in person.
Hey.
The old man is back, and the old man is in the house. The old legend is in the house. Mr. Jeff Bridges.
All right, Josh. Good to see you again, man.
Congrats on the return of the old man's excellent show. This is not a day of work for me. If I get to reminisce with Jeff Bridges about his amazing life and career, this is the good stuff. So thank you. So Dad's show, Sea Hunt, lasted 4 seasons.
That's it.
155 episodes. Do we have 155 episodes of The Old Man in you?
I hope so. We'll see. We'll see.
Talk to me a little bit about, I'm curious, so this is the 2nd season of the show. Way back when, even 10, 15 years ago, what was your attitude about TV? Has it changed in recent years?
Big time. Well, you mentioned my dad with Sea Hunt, and he did several TV series after that.
Yeah.
And being a kid and, watching what he went through, hard work, of course, to prepare, for, it's tough because it keeps coming at you,
Right. It's relentless. Yeah.
And I remember how disappointed he was in that there didn't seem to be the attention to detail, and of course the financing wasn't as rich in making a TV show. So I inherited some of that, but then you started to see the great work that came out, Succession, and all of the wonderful TV shows, and I said, I better give this a try, and I'm so glad because it's no different than making movies.
Although, there are a couple distinct differences. One is
true.
You don't know the end point.
Well, very good point, Josh. That's absolutely, it's like it's very lifelike.
That is true.
You don't know. You have a general idea, but
we know how it's going to end.
Know.
Not specifically, generally.
Yeah, and like life in our show, lots of twists and turns.
Definitely.
When you think you know what's going down, and that ain't necessarily so.
Well, and also, look, I don't know how much you read at the start, if it was a pilot, if it was a couple episodes, but again, you don't know, is it going to sustain that, where the character's going, so it's a big, degree of trust you have to put in your showrunner, your writers.
Yes, John Steinberg. Right. I'm in good hands. But I go through the same thing as the viewers go through. They don't know what's going to happen.
That's
and
true.
Earlier, I go through the same kind of process with John. I say, what's going to, because I'm always saying to him, so what happens? He goes, I'm not sure, quite sure. Then he'll let me, I say, you're kidding me. Wow, okay.
But I do wonder, actually, from an acting perspective, is it helpful to know what's to come for a character, or does that get in your head?
It's very, very different. Normally in a movie, you know where you're going, so you have a target, and you can lay Easter eggs, whatever they call it, early on that are going to pay off. That's not the case here, but it's fascinating to watch things that you didn't think would pay off. That you've said earlier, and then you go back and see it, and you say, "Oh wow, he was."
Yeah, I'm a genius. I didn't even know I was laying my own Easter eggs, but I did.
Very interesting. Well, I think people are generally good actors, and I'm playing an ex-CIA guy. Those spies and so forth, they've got to be the best actors in the world because they're acting.
Their life is on the line.
They're acting for their lives. Yeah. But we all do a bit of acting, pretend we're one way and we're not.
Yes, the best version of ourselves to the outside world.
That's right, yeah.
And I would imagine, for you on a day-to-day basis, that's real too, because people see you out and about and they want the Jeff Bridges of their dreams that they see on the screen, and that must be That's a lot of pressure to put on you.
It's interesting, you know. You fall into it, you know.
Right.
I mean, there are aspects, for instance, that I share with the dude,
Sure.
right? But people can project that, and I can do the dude.
You can toggle it up if you need to.
Yeah, right.
How much dude do I give him?
Yeah.
How am I feeling today?
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I was saying before when you sat down, it's also such a treat. There's such a great ensemble of actors around you in this. And yeah, any new season that starts with just kind of like you and Lithgow, just like lots of screen time together.
Oh, yeah.
Two of the best beards in the business. Great facial hair and great acting
You've
ability.
got some nice hairs going, man.
Wow, to be complimented on
Yeah,
you on that.
very
Bit high
good.
praise. But I mean, do you guys approach the work in a similar way?
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot in common, you know, both from showbiz families.
Sure. I feel like you were the one person that could have been in Buckaroo Banzai way back
Oh,
when.
there you go. Right, right.
Jeff could have been, if Peter Weller wasn't available, Jeff Bridges could have been a good Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, or I think, you know, John was hoping to be in Fabulous Baker Boys.
No kidding. In
But
your
that-
role? Or Bo's
no,
role?
his Bo's role, you know,
Well, we
but
can't
that
deny
didn't
that.
happen.
That's too important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this season, we want to tease folks a little bit. It does begin with you and John's character in pursuit, trying to
Well, it
retrieve.
picks up right
Yeah.
where season one left off, with
Yeah.
us heading out on an airport, you know, to go to Afghanistan and find our girl. And season one really, you know, set the characters, let you know who
Yeah.
these folks were. And now the story really takes off with season two, and you know, all the stakes are, you know, higher and more twists and turns and surprises.
And thank goodness there are dogs back. The dogs are
The
back.
dogs are back. Yeah, I was wondering, is that a you know what do they call it? When you give away something?
Oh,
you
a
know,
spoiler.
a
Yeah, sure.
spoiler?
Yeah.
No, but
No, this is too important.
no,
People
they
need to know.
decided. Yeah, leave that. The dogs are back.
Are you good working with animals? You must have had a lot of different experiences over the
Animals
years.
and kids, yeah, they give you acting lessons. You know, they
Right,
let
there's
you
no
know
false
how.
notes.
No, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
Does King Kong count as an animal, or I guess that's an animatronic?
no.
That's
That's a whole other thing, man. Yeah.
give me one Dino De Laurentiis story anecdote, because that guy was a character. I wish I'd been around to interview that guy, because he feels like he was old school producer.
Well, two things pop. You know, as you mentioned these movies,
Yeah.
that you know, different things pop into my mind. I remember he called me into his office and he said, "Jeffy," that's what he used to go. Jeffy, there's 2 words, Jeffy. Kong 2. He had it all, and then I proceeded to pitch him my idea for Kong 2. Which they looked at me kind of how they look at you when you're pitching a joke at, you know, for Saturday Night Live.
Right.
You know, that implacable, oh yeah, that's funny. But my idea was, at the end of Kong 2, when he falls off the trade towers in our version of the movie, he smashes on the ground and he turns out to be exactly what he is, a machine. He was just a machine. And you end there. And then in Kong 2, my version was that Charles Grodin's character would buy the carcass and take it around.
Yeah.
Of course, there are aliens involved, and the whole question about, what do you mean it was a machine? What is the meaning of that? You know,
Did he go
they
for
just
it?
looked at me. You know, no, Jeffy.
What might have been. That was a side note. We'll get to other aspects of the career, but I'm curious. We were talking about television. Are you a TV watcher? I mean, what? Do you,
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
a binge watch? What's an obsession for Jeff at home?
Well, you know, I mentioned Succession. I thought
Yeah.
that was those guys. Wow, what a wonderful show that was. I was a big fan of Pen 15.
Oh yeah,
Did you dig
I watched the
Pen
beginning. I need to get
Oh,
back to it. Very funny,
man.
very
That's,
sweet. Yeah.
Those, you know, both of those women just did some remarkable stuff. I was just talking about a show. Did you see Mr. In Between?
I don't even know if
That's
this
kind
is
of a rare
existence.
thing, but
Yeah.
that's an FX Hulu show. I like that. Baby Reindeer, you must have seen that.
Yeah,
that was terrific. So many good things. There's just so much now, coming at you on all fronts. Movies, music. It's a very different world that way.
It is, from the 3-channel TV universe,
Oh,
et cetera, way
yeah.
back when. Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, music, you've got your radio station, and, it's Beatles, Dylan, everybody was listening to the same stuff. But now, how about some of my guys that I like musically these days? Wolfpack, do you know Wolfpack?
I don't. I need to get my
notes
out.
I think they sold out Madison Square Garden 2 nights. They have no record deal or anything. It's just word of mouth.
Amazing.
Blake Mills.
Okay.
Do you know Blake Mills at all? He's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah,
list goes
you
on
don't
and
know.
on. Yeah. It's funny. So
what are you listening to, music and movie-wise?
So I am one of these weird people. Your opinion of me is gonna drop because I love movies. I love TV. My music taste is like movie soundtracks. It's like scores. It's like Goldsmith and John Williams
you just mentioned that. Oh man, we've got T-Bone Burnett, man.
Yeah.
And he's so, wonderful.
What
a score he's
back.
done.
Yeah. I watched your speech a few months back here in New York City. You got the Chaplin Award here.
Oh, yes.
And I was really struck by kind of the themes that you kind of revolved your speech around. It was luck, love, and fear. And I want to talk about the fear part because this is just a constant conversation I have with actors about the imposter syndrome, the self-doubt. And I think it's fascinating to hear someone like you talk about that and whether that still remains when you start a job.
Oh, yeah. And you'd think it would...
Yeah.
It would, after you've done it so long, you still got that there, but I do. What it brings to mind is something that my mother used to send me off to work with. She could feel how anxious I was. And my wife says the same thing she learned from my mom. My mom would say, Jeff, come here. Remember, have fun. And don't take it too seriously. I said, oh gosh, that's great advice.
Yeah. Does that pop into your brain in the middle of a tense moment when you're?
Always, yeah. It's so interesting, and that's why, it's so wonderful. You mentioned our cast. John Lithgow, Amy Brennan, and Alia Shaw-Cat. All of these are all wonderful actors who approach acting in a similar way. There's some actors who will say, please just call me by my character's name.
Right.
And I'd rather not hang out with you. Let's do all our stuff on. And you get some great results. Very good. But all of the actors on this show,
but isn't like too short to have that kind of experience? Don't we want to enjoy what we do?
That's the thing, and you hang out with somebody and you find out, oh, you're just like me. You're scared and frightened and want to do justice to the material. Me too. And then it helps you relax, and out of that relaxation,
It's amazing.
I feel the best work.
I mean, I always feel about your work, if you'll allow me to be quite complimentary, that there is literally never a false note I see in a Jeff Bridges performance. And you're in one of those handful of actors, and I think of like Gene Hackman and just like these people that like whatever, and it can be in a TRON movie, it can be in a Western, somehow you can make it all feel so naturalistic. And I'm curious, like, as you look at your career and how you've kind of navigated it, how much of that is studied? How much of that is natural ability? I mean, do you have a sense of sort of what your secret sauce is to making anything feel authentic and real and true?
What do you think about that? Well,
I mean, do you have a guiding principle in approaching the work?
Well, in a way, a lot of it is finding the tone.
Yeah.
So everybody in the movie is in the same world.
Sure.
And the director and the writer, helps in that in a big way, and the other actors, But to find that, it takes a while sometimes to find that groove.
Yeah.
You know, but that's something I try for. Yeah.
So I guess the double-edged sword of being the guy and the old man is you are the guy, you are the old man, but then you're also like, wait, I'm the old man? Like, what happened? How did we get here in life?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. But now, as you say, the old Joel Grey, who is also in the
92,
show,
I believe,
wonderful
right?
to work with. He sort of trumps the whole show as far as
Yeah.
who's the old man.
Yeah, what a treat to see him.
But
yeah.
he was wonderful to work with. And yeah, you're right. It happens so damn fast, man.
What was
It picks up speed.
Yeah, like, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, like, what was your idea of what this age would be versus what it is now for you?
Very different. Like you mentioned about the anxiety, aspect. Oh, you'll get you. But I remember the big turning point for me in my acting career when I decided, I think I can do this, because my father and my mom, unlike a lot of showbiz parents, they really encouraged all their kids to go into it. And as a kid who wants to do what their parents want them to do, man, so I resisted quite deep, for quite a while. I had maybe done 10 movies before I decided, I guess I can do this, this is something. And that point came when I was working with Frederick March and Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan, these old masters.
Yeah.
And a movie called Iceman Cometh, about the great Eugene O'Neill play. And it was 8 weeks rehearsal, and then we shot for 2. So it was 8 weeks hanging out with these old guys. And they were just as anxious as I was, and they wanted to do justice to the material. Yeah. And what they had that I did, they said, yeah, that doesn't go away. You just got to make friends with that. And in a way, those times in life that are your most filled with anxiety and fear, those are actually the goal. That's when you're right up against your edge.
Sure.
And you get to practice. What do you do now, Jeff? What's your thing,
No, I mean, it's the same on both sides of it, man. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's those nerves, those butterflies right before any conversation I have that I think keeps me sharp. And
You see, the same thing happens to you, and what are you going to do? And we're not alone in this. People have been doing this same thing for a long time, and this anxiety trip, people have been doing it, and there's books written about it, man. There's different approaches, different strategies that can help.
But isn't it funny too, because we also hear always about like relaxation and how an actor needs to kind of feel like totally relaxed in the moment. So it is riding that weird line between total chill.
Yeah, relaxing your tension.
Exactly. That's your next book.
Yeah, there you go.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something that you'd love to learn? Because as an adult, I find that most of us don't take the time to learn new things like we did when we were children, right? Kids are always learning and growing, and none of us, it seems, make the time for the things that we hoped we would do, like learning an instrument or learning any kind of a new skill, a new hobby. Therapy can actually help you reconnect with that early sense of wonder, because your quote-unquote back-to-school era can come truly at any age. I've benefited from therapy, friends and family have. That's why BetterHelp is such an important sponsor to Happy, Sad, Confused. Whether or not you've been in therapy lately, you could probably use a little help in some way. We all could. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It is designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your very busy schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire, and you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/HSC today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/HSC.
Lithgow has said like this is like the best part of his career. He's like never had the kind.
Say that again.
John Lithgow has said that this has been like the best part of his career.
Yeah.
Like that the run of roles he's had the last 10 years has been more rewarding than ever. You know, I could look at the last 10, 15 years of your career and argue maybe the same thing. Has it felt like that for you?
Yeah. Looking back, not while it's going on, I don't have that same thing. The anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
And my MO, as far as, well, a lot of it as life goes, is resisting. I resist, you know. Life will give you, you know, marvelous opportunities. And I have a very hard time coming to the party because
So
I know
like your instinct is to say no. Like even a great script, it's like
I know what it means. You know, it means
Yes.
a time away from my family,
Right.
away from all these other things I'm interested in doing. And then, like what happened with the old man, then you meet the creators and you catch their dream. You know what I mean?
The dream. Yeah, totally.
And that's a wonderful case. And most often, you know, I'm very happy with holding out and then being swept away. You know, that's great. And then I'm in 1,000%.
So if you'll indulge me, like going back a bit, like in looking at like when I look back at your career, and well, here's a period I'm fascinated by, kind of like. Arguably, like the prime for any actor, leading man, is like when they're like in their early 40s and those kind of like quintessential leading man roles. And when I look at the kind of stuff that you were gravitating towards back in that time, like between the ages of 42 and 44, you did Fisher King, American Heart, The Vanishing. Like you're playing a serial killer, you're playing like a washed up guy, like you're playing like these really dark, really fascinating roles. It always seemed like you had a very interesting push and pull between kind of classic leading man and character roles.
Well, a lot of that had to do with my father, who you mentioned Sea Hunt, that show that he had in the early 60s. And he pulled that character off, Mike Nelson, so well that people thought he was a skin diver, and those were the kind of scripts that he was getting. And it was very frustrating for him. I saw that. So I really went out of my way not to develop a strong persona and hopefully pleasantly confuse the audience so they could project the different characters.
Yeah.
Remember a show I did with my dad called Blown Away?
Sure.
And before he was cast, I talked to the producer, and it was the character of my uncle. And then I said, gee, I know an actor, good actor. He looks a little similar to me. He might be good to play my uncle. I said, who? I said, Lloyd Bridges. And he laughed. He goes, yeah, your dad is wonderful, but he's really thought of more of as a comic. I said, what are you talking about?
Have you only watched the last 3 years of his work? Or
Airplane,
Airplane,
you know,
and Shots and whole,
you know, so I can see how frustrating. So to be able to go from, the dude to the president of the United States, you know, that was a good, move where it felt like, oh yeah, that's something to do.
Well, I think, and that's what I think of when I think of LEBOWSKI, which obviously always comes up. I love it for a number of reasons, but when I think back to that, it was also just like a different look for you than I'd ever seen. It was like to see like an actor let go of his vanity and be like the schlub in a bathroom and allow himself to be that.
Oh yeah,
was so invigorating for an audience to see like you just like go for it 150%. Did that feel in the moment what it's become? Like, did you have a sense of the opportunity of that?
I was surprised when it first came out. It didn't do very well.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You know, it had kind of more of a hit in Europe and then splashed back over here. But we thought it was funny. And those guys, they're masters, man. They make it look so easy, right?
Yeah. When you're in the middle of like a Busby Berkeley musical number, that must be like you've been transported to another time and place and world in the best possible way.
Oh, it was just so much fun. And I have these little photo books, so I can look at my book for LEBOWSKI and it puts me right back in that moment.
Do you remember what your parents made of LEBOWSKI?
They, my mom, she prefers me to play the president. Yeah, I think they admire the filmmaking. I mentioned these photo books.
Yeah.
My wife and I, Sue, she's a professional photographer. She gave me a Widelux camera from on our wedding day. You know, it's a panning still camera, very unusual format. And that camera has been defunct for about 30 years now. And my wife and I are bringing the camera back. We're rebuilding it. We got in cahoots with some German people, Chorus and Marvon, and we're making the Widelux. So I'm just going to do a little pitch here.
No, I love it.
If you don't mind.
No, please.
You can go to Widelux
Yeah.
X, and there's 2 X's at the end, all lowercase, .com. You can find out more about what we're up to. But I'm very excited about
I love
that.
it. I have a few of your photo books. You've published some of them
Oh,
in
yeah.
official form and unofficial form, and they're
Yeah.
all, it's gorgeous. It's a great document from a different perspective of many, many, many of your
Yeah.
films. Have you done it for The Old Man? Did you?
I've taken pictures. I haven't made it an official book. Maybe
Yeah.
this next season I'll do that.
Amazing. Another one that we've talked about before is Iron Man, because as people might not remember, when you did Marvel, nobody knew what they had.
That was their first show, man.
And the lore about that, and everyone's very, very open, is that script was like being worked on every day in the trailer. Do you
God.
remember that? Like, did it feel
I
like,
do.
how the hell are they going to make something great
They
out of
were
this?
so lucky to have Jon Favreau as our director. And Downey, of course, I mean, he was so terrific to work with. But we had, I think, a 2-week rehearsal, and we really reworked the script and honed it before we were going to go. The day before, the Marvel folks said, "Oh no, this can't be the way it is," and we had to write the scenes that we were doing that day. Just that morning, we'd go into one of our trailers and call writer friends and say, "Here's what happens. He goes here. You got any ideas?" That kind of thing.
So is that a miracle when you see it come out? You're like, "Oh my God, they somehow put it together." Like,
well, I remember being so frustrated as an actor. I'd like to be prepared, know my line. And I finally made this little adjustment that made all the difference.
what was it?
It was just, Jeff, you're talking about anxiety. He said, "Jeff, relax. You're making a $200 million student film with these great guys. Have fun and just relax, man."
Listen to Mom.
And exactly, and they were so, to have, Robert Downey Jr., he was so brilliant in that, and Favreau,
Do you think about how you're going to deliver a line specifically before a scene? Because I think back to one of the iconic lines that you deliver in that film, screaming, "Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps," which is just explodes with poor Peter Billingsley.
Oh yeah, Peter was produced, one of the producers, right?
So like before you walk into that scene, do you know you're going to do it in that way?
Well, I like to, us actors, we do a painting of the thing and then give it to the editors and the directors, and they cut your painting up and make a collage out of it and put it in different orders,
So they're different versions of that?
Well, I try to give them, because I know that's the process, I try to give them, it's like when you're taking pictures, you bracket your exposures, right?
Right.
You say, "I'm going to shoot this, underexposed." And I try to do that so there's maybe scenes where I didn't quite blow up that much or blew up more or whatever, so when you're in the editing room, they have a choice.
I'm glad they made that choice because it totally works.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I said this to you the last time you were on the podcast. I'd still, look, in this multiverse where alternate versions, like I would just like one more appearance from Jeff in the MCU. They've never had that conversation.
What's this, MCU? What's that?
No, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sorry, I'm using nerd jargon.
When I read the script, Obadiah Stane falls in that big vat at the end.
Right.
And the script that I read and agreed to do, they pull my suit out and they open it and I'm not there. But they did. You're not shooting that scene.
I thought this was a three-picture deal, guys. What happened?
Exactly. But who knows? It's all science fiction. I could maybe pop up again.
Well, Downey's back despite dying.
I know, and he's playing a bad guy. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
I caught up, this is a little random, but I caught up a couple weeks ago with Winona Ryder, and I was talking to her about her amazing career. And she had this lovely reminiscence of auditioning for Fearless.
Yeah.
And saying how sweet you were. She was devastated because she held you in such high
heard
esteem.
that. The kissing, right?
Exactly. You were just like, you're like my daughter. It feels weird.
I can't remember, I mean, I can't remember the specifics of that moment, but I think it was something like, it just didn't feel right in the improv. We were probably doing it with Peter Weir, the director of that thing, and somehow, I don't know, didn't work out. It wasn't a make-out scene.
No. Weir, I guess, is retired from directing, sadly. But what was he, what are your remembrances of that? What a special piece of work.
So incredible. He scored every day. By score, I mean he had music playing every day that really served to bring the cast and the crew together. This, we all had the same music to listen to. And then when we went to dailies, what we shot that day, he would score that with a boom box and play that. And he was very inclusive, I remember one of his first pieces of direction was, we're flying this plane together, I need you as my co-pilot, and it was wonderful to work with.
Look at the breadth of the kind of work he did. That he could do Master and Commander and Witness and Fear. It's like he could do any genre and just make it true and
so
powerful.
Great.
Did that affect your attitude about flying, being in Fearless at all?
Well, what was the book I read? The Fearful Skies, or what's the normal term?
Fear of Flying?
No, no. There was a book, or there was a thing about Fly the Friendly Skies.
Oh, of course, that's right.
So I think it was called The Unfriendly Skies.
Right.
And it told, it was written by a pilot that told you, Oh, I don't even want to get into it now, but that helped.
It is maybe the most harrowing depiction of a fight gone wrong, maybe in a film.
One of the interesting things about what Peter did, the flight, the show was basically using it was at Iowa, I think. There was a big crash in a cornfield, or was it Idaho? I think it was Iowa. And he invited the cast and crew to hang out with some survivors of that crash. And it was so fascinating to learn that it wasn't the cliche of,
Right, that's quiet.
Because they knew they were going down for 45 minutes.
Oh my God, I can't.
And it wasn't panicky. It was just, the guy said, just love filled the cabin there, and everybody said, this is us. We're going to, completely a different feeling,
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
We mentioned LEBOWSKI. Is part of you happy that, like, the Coens are not obviously sequel guys, but are you kind of happy that's kind of like frozen in time, that clearly they're never going to come back to the dude?
Yeah, I know, and it's all set up. Mods, Prager's, it could really, the little LEBOWSKI, I can't help but on some of these movies think about what the life would be.
You got to think whoever owns the rights to that has said to Coens whatever you want, because
but I don't think
they would never do it.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Are you in touch with them? It's been a minute since you guys have collaborated.
We bumped up. We did a True Grit together. That was another great experience. And we bump into each other every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm hoping they come back together to direct again.
Me too. Me too.
Tron, which again always comes up, but give me a sense of, like, you do the original Tron. How out of left field did that feel? Did that feel like, is this going to come together? Is anybody going to understand this? Do I understand this?
It was so bizarre. In a way, the things that are that off the wall and that haven't been done, it's kind of safer in a way because there's nothing to compare it to. It's just truly there. And this one, I mean, what I remember from doing it, shot in 70 millimeter black and white, hand tinted by a bunch of ladies in Korea, I think. we had, black duvetine was the set with white adhesive tape on the thing. Everybody was encouraged to wear colorful clothes because it was all black and our suits were all black and white. But you'd go outside after days of working and being in that just black and white atmosphere, and boom, color would just rush into you. Wonderful.
So you pop up. It sounds like it's a pretty small role. It's basically a cameo in the new Tron movie, Tron Ares.
Yes.
Fun to come back in.
Oh,
we were
yeah.
talking about method acting. From what I gathered, Jared is pretty in character, generally speaking. Was that interesting to see Jared Leto
absolutely.
fully committed?
Yeah, he's wonderful to work with. We had a great time, a lot of fun working together.
It does occur to me, there's all this talk about like AI, et cetera now. There's probably no one more scanned in the metaverse than Jeff Bridges. Your face, your body,
Maybe so.
Someone has that.
Yeah.
Does that scare you a little bit that like 150 years from now they can recreate you?
Oh, it's the new thing. When I have a gig, it will be leasing my image. I can say, yeah, you can use that. I got scanned and I'm in the computer for when we did Tron 2.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Legacy. Yeah.
And I wasn't particularly fond of that recreation of myself. I thought I looked more like Bill Maher than myself.
To go back and look. That's amazing. Well, the technology's improved since
yes,
then, clearly.
yeah.
That was, again, see what Kaczynski's done, too, also. That was his first film, Joe Kaczynski.
His first film, man.
Talk about a deep dive.
And
Yeah.
it was like falling off a log for him. He was just so wonderful to work with.
Yeah. And you worked with him again, didn't you, on Only the Brave?
Yeah, Only the Brave, yeah.
So is that, when I look at your career, there are a lot of frequent return collaborators.
I like that, yeah.
Is there anyone that you'd like to return to, give it one more go to?
Oh my gosh, it all kind of blends,
I know.
Yeah, everybody. I haven't had a bad apple in the whole bunch. With the old man, that was something I was concerned about. That you've got different directors and different cinematographers.
Right. How's he going to feel
but
consistent?
Everybody is just top notch,
Yeah. Well, you started those first couple episodes was John Watts, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he set the bar very high. With those.
Yeah, and he's one of the producers,
Right.
And so casting, that's about 99% of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not just the actors, but the directors, the DPs, the gaffers, all these guys, and they put the team that they put together for the old man. Just the execution on all fronts, and it's a kind of a cumulative effect. But when you've got all, operating on, everything's cooking on all cylinders, it really comes together well.
You talk about kind of like that initial kind of reluctance, like it takes a minute for you to commit to say like, yeah, I'm going to get out of the house and do this.
Yeah.
But then once you're on set, it changes. There's a gear shift.
Then it's.
Like, well, why was I denying myself? Why was I so reluctant? This is fun.
Well, I know why. I know what it takes. It
that's
takes.
the problem.
It takes a lot of stuff.
It has, and also I guess we'll see you a little bit in the new Tron movie, but we haven't seen you in a film in a minute. And obviously we talked last time about the health issues you went through with COVID, et cetera.
Yeah.
I'm sure that factors into it. But I need me some Jeff Bridges on the big screen
on the
again.
Big screen, okay. I can hear you, and I will see if I can make that happen.
Don't do it for me.
you.
Do it for yourself.
There you go. I will. But it was a good suggestion.
Is there a director that's gotten away? We've talked about all these amazing folks, the Coens, Peter Weir, Hal Ashby, amazing. But like, Tarantino, Spielberg, PTA. What's happened? Why have they not? Why have we not seen the collaboration?
Yeah, I've
have you come close on any of those?
I've worked with great directors. One that's coming to my mind as we talk is Scott Cooper, the guy who directed Crazy Heart. And he's such an amazing director. It's wonderful to watch the movies that he's made since Crazy Heart. I've had wonderful luck with first-time directors.
Right.
Really incredible.
Is it true you're going to be collaborating with Terry Gilliam again,
Well,
potentially?
that's what Terry says. I haven't heard really too many, we've chatted about it on the phone, but I did, I don't know anything if it's official or not.
I think he wants you to play God, apparently.
I love working with Terry, I'll be there, but, I haven't read the script, I don't think, but
He's putting the cart before the horse a
but
little bit.
But Terry, wow, what an artist.
Yeah, he's. I've had the privilege of talking to him for the podcast.
Isn't he something?
Oh my God!
Did you ever see our movie Tideland?
Of course, that was a wild.
Isn't that
no one
wild?
saw it. It's sadly.
Yeah, and very low budget. Terry likes but it was like
Every
it
Terry
was a lot
Gilliam
of
film,
fun.
even the ones that maybe don't succeed on some level, like are
Yeah.
worth your time because
Yeah.
they are so unique.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
fascinating.
exactly.
Was Fisher King the first time you guys
Yeah.
collaborated?
Yeah.
And arguably that was kind of almost his most. Even to call that mainstream is insane because that's a very bizarre movie. But yeah, I mean, did you feel a kinship with him and Robin on that set
No,
immediately?
very much so. Oh man, Robin, oh my gosh. So incredible. I was, a little anxious, part of my anxiety, the hook that why am I anxious? And then you find the kind of hooks to hang your anxiety on. One for me was, oh, Robin, I've got these long speeches, and I think he's going to be messing with me, trying to make me laugh.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case at all. Just the opposite, as a matter of fact.
This is tangential just because you brought it up, but did you base that character at all on shock jocks of the time of like
Sure.
Howard Stern,
Oh,
Don
yeah.
Imus, those kind of folks?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the tagline? Well, excuse me. Wasn't
Well,
it?
yeah, excuse me. And I got to where Stephen Bridgewater was a shock jock who Terry had this great idea to get me together with this fella.
Yeah.
And for a couple of weeks, he taught me how to do a show, and I would do 2-hour shows, for a long time, and and Terry would have callers to call in, out there, and they would call in. We did a whole thing, and learned a lot about it.
You could still do it. Sirius XM, give Jeff Bridges his own channel.
Yeah.
You could program your own music, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it must be kind of fun what you do with this thing. How long have you been doing it now?
This is the 10th year of Happy, Sad, Confused, my podcast, man.
Does it go fast? Does it seem
it's
like,
it's insane that it's gone by so far, but I mean, part of the pleasure is getting to see folks again, and
That's right.
And every conversation, every career, every life is different. It's like people say, like you get tired of it, like every day is a new.
Yeah, you still get anxiety
Believe
is
me.
still there.
Believe
I
me.
remember Robert Ryan saying to me, I said, God, you're still frail. He said, oh, I'd really be frightened if I wasn't frightened. That,
100%. We're going to end with the Happy, Sad, Confused, profoundly random questions for you, Jeff.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Are you a dog or cat person?
Well, I am both.
Okay.
But my wife is allergic to cats, so I can't have a cat. But I have a dog. I have a Cavapoo, Cavalier King Charles Poodle.
Love it. Yeah, I became a dog owner in
What do
recent
you
years.
got?
We've got a pit mix, Lucy, and she is the
Ooh.
sweetest. Don't be frightened. She is the sweetest animal on earth. I love her.
Yeah, dogs are incredible.
What do you collect, if anything?
What do I collect? Well,
If we went to Casa Bridges, what would I see a lot of? What would I...
paintings of dear friends, music of dear friends, sculptures. I like to, do ceramics. What are I've got a couple of souvenirs from the movies.
Do you have a favorite keepsake from a movie?
I've got the original TRON helmet. It was a hockey helmet, painted white with some black tape. That's all,
Just
fuzzy.
wear that around the house if you're bored one day?
There you go.
Do you know the wallpaper on your phone, the background on your phone? Is it anything special?
See, I'm not really an iPhone guy at all. No, I don't.
Do you have one, or are you just not really?
I carry one and occasionally will call out, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of having a leash, and then I just,
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Probably keeps you sane. Do you ever get mistaken for another actor?
Oh yeah.
Who's the last actor you were mistaken for?
Kurt Russell. We get it sometimes.
It's the great beard.
And I can
collection.
see that.
Yeah. What's the worst note a director has ever given you? Just that.
I have an idea.
Because it's no. It should be a yes and situation. It should be an
just the
encouragement.
hand.
Oh no. Who would dare do that to Jeff Bridges? Has that happened recently?
Not recently,
Thank
no.
goodness. Oh my God. What drives you crazy on set besides the hand? What's your pet peeve on set?
Oh, well, time, you got a big scene coming up. We're losing the light. We got to have a lunch break. I got to go to the bathroom, man. But really? Okay, let's see. Use it, as they say. Okay, that kind of thing. Yeah.
In the spirit of happy, sad, confused, who's an actor that always makes you happy? You see them on screen.
Oh well, John. I'm not casting this show as the old man. It's just a pleasure to work with Amy. All of those guys. Ali, it's just they put smiles on my face, and it's great.
Is there a movie that makes you sad generally? What's your go-to?
Oh well, John's movie's one of my favorite now. But I'm having an old man moment.
Well, is it a GARP or
no? Terms of Endearment, man.
Oh my God, Terms of
What
Endearment's
about
amazing.
those kids in that hospital?
I know
scene?
when Shirley starts to scream for her daughter.
Yeah. Oh, well, once how one of these interviews. They asked me, what scene would you like to do from another actor, another famous actor? And I did, give her the shot! That was my favorite scene. But those kids in that hospital scene,
saying goodbye.
that one
basically.
kid who's oh God. Oh.
James L. Brooks, that's another one you should have worked with. Come on.
Yes, yeah. Jonathan Demme, I always wanted to work with him.
Food that makes you confused. What food? You don't get it. You see it on the menu.
Oh.
Why are we even talking about this food? What is this?
Well, the one that came to mind was uni.
Sure, the urchin, sea urchin.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be so great,
Right.
and sometimes it can be so bad, and I see it on the menu, and I'm confused whether I should go for it or not.
Right. It's the consistency, it's the smell. You got to be in the right
it's
frame
got
of
to be
mind.
fresh.
Yeah, no, you don't want the day old. Uni.
No.
That's your PSA to the
That's
listeners of
right.
Happy, Sad, Confused. Jeff, as I said, this is not a day of work for me. This has been such a true honor and pleasure.
Hanging, Josh.
You are always welcome to chat. Congratulations. The new season of The Old Man is fantastic. We talked about the amazing ensemble. It is twisty, it is turny, it is riveting television. Check it out. Catch up on the first season if you haven't. And Jeff, thank you. You gave me just enough dude today. Just like 10%
good.
dude. It's perfect.
Nice, man. All right. Nice
see you,
hanging,
buddy.
Josh.
Thanks, man.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.